So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how we would calculate a heart rate off of an ECG strip. So we're going to do this a couple times, but the first one we're going to do is on this strip here, which is from a dog who is named BT. And the first thing you need to know if you're going to be doing heart rates is the paper speed. This one was set at 50 millimeters per second. So that means for every 50 millimeters on this piece of paper, a second has passed in time. Or for every second that goes by, 50 millimeters of this paper come out on the machine. So how the heck do we know what 50 millimeters is? If you guys go back and remember that each small square on this ECG paper measures 1 millimeter. And each large square measured 5 millimeters. So what we are looking at on our ECG paper is a large square. And then inside of this large square, there's going to be 5 small squares. So to figure out how far 50 millimeters is, we just need to count 50 small squares. And then we're going to count the number of heart rates that happen in that time period. To count the heart rates, we're going to be counting each individual R wave as one heartbeat. So on our piece of paper here, move it over a little bit. We have to pick a place to start. I'm just going to randomly pick right here as where we're going to start our counting. So we're going to start here, and then we're going to count over 50 millimeters. So the easiest way that I found to do this is just realizing that each of these large squares is 5 millimeters, and I count by 5. So this is 5 millimeters, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So right here, this is 50 millimeters, and it's also 1 second of time. And now I'm going to do that again. Five, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Another 50 millimeters has gone by, and now we're up to 2 seconds. So in order to get a good heart rate, we are going to count how many heartbeats happen in 6 seconds. So we're going to keep going across here and counting the 50 millimeters per second until we get up to a spot with 6 seconds, and then we're going to stop and we will come back to this video. So now you can see on my sheet of paper, I've counted this all the way up to 6 seconds. I did start at an unfortunate spot and ran out of ECG strip. So my very last one, I only ended up with 30 millimeters instead of 50 millimeters. So I don't have a full 6 seconds from where I started. We should have started back here somewhere on our ECG strip. And then we would have been able to get in a full 6 seconds. So when you're doing your own ECG strips, be sure you keep that in mind so you don't end up with the unfortunate mistake that I just did for you guys. But it's a good learning opportunity. So let's count the number of R waves that we have in our 6 second block. So we have 1 R wave, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we ended up with 6 R waves in 6 seconds. So this is simply saying if I had counted an animal's heart rate for 6 seconds, the heart beats 6 times in those 6 seconds. So this is going to be taking those 6 heartbeats, which were the same as the 6 R waves, multiplying it by 10, because there was 6 in 6 seconds. 6 times 10 is 60 seconds. And this is going to give us 60 beats per minute. So this animal's heart rate is 60 beats per minute. We're going to do the same thing on this heart rate strip. We're going to figure out what the heart rate was of BT this time. Again, first thing you need to know when you're doing a heart rate is what is the paper speed. This time it's 25 millimeters per second. So now every time we move 25 millimeters down this piece of paper, a second's going to pass. So we're going to pick another spot to start. We're going to start why don't we start right here this time? And now we only need to count 25 millimeters until we get to a second. So it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 1 second. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 2 seconds. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 3. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 4. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So right here is going to be our 6 seconds. So that ended right there. All right, so we are counting R waves. So every R wave is going to equal a heartbeat. So we are going to count the number of R waves in this 6-second block. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one, we don't quite have that R wave in there. So we just have 4 R waves in 6 seconds. So now this time we just have to take the 4 R waves, or those 4 heartbeats, times 10. The heartbeat will be 40 beats per minute for this heart rate strip. So on this strip, I wanted to talk to you guys about calibration. This is that other machine setting we work with. This is all, again, BT, and I took his ECG at 3 different calibrations. This was at 5 millimeters per millivolt. Starting here, I changed it to 10 millimeters per millivolt, and lastly at 20 millimeters per millivolt. So hopefully you can appreciate that this R wave is getting taller. So at 5 millimeters per millivolt, we've dialed it way down. We're not going to see much of a spike. 10 millimeters per millivolt's right in the middle. And 20 millimeters per millivolt, this is what we use for the little animals like the cats, where we need to expand and blow up so we can see what's going on inside that heart muscle better. So this is what those different calibrations are going to look like for you. And those are also your conversion factors that you'll be doing. So if it's at 5 millimeters per millivolt, you'll measure how many millimeters something was. So say something measured 3 millimeters. You'd then look down here and you'd say, what's my conversion factor? Depending on which one you used. Let's say you use the 10 millimeter per millivolt. You're going to come up here and you're going to say, okay, 10 millimeters, 1 millivolt. You're going to do your math and you will get your answer for how many millivolts that the calibration needle moved for that heart.